Hi guys, it's me Sam and I'm back again to do my March 2016 wrap up. So this month is a bit crazy for me since I'm a student and March tends to be one of the last months before finals, so it gets a little bit busy. I thought I was going to get a whole lot of reading done even though I was going to be busy, but then I forgot that I was going away on a trip and that there was Easter and that there was all kinds of stuff going on. So I didn't get as much reading done as I thought I was going to, but honestly when I look back at my month, I did actually a pretty good job. I actually read or listened to 7 books or graphic novels this month, which is actually really awesome, and I thought I did terribly, but I did pretty good. And so I'm going to get started and talk about the books that I read this March. So the first book I read this month was Firewalker by Josephine Angelini, and it's the second book in the Worldwalker trilogy, and it's the sequel to Trial by Fire. I was excited to pick up the second book when I found it at my local library. I had a hard time getting into this book because it started immediately after Trial by Fire finished, and I wasn't exactly sure of how it finished, and I kind of forgotten what had happened. So it took me a couple chapters to get back into the story, but when I did enjoy it. I find these series kind of addictive. It's not a great series, and it's definitely not one of my favorites, but it's definitely something really interesting, and I kind of want to see how it ends. Especially this one. This one ends on a really emotional cliffhanger, and you really want to get the next book to see how this is all going to wrap up, because I really have no idea how it's going to wrap up. Some things I have trouble with in this series is that I find the world building and the magic system a little bit confusing. It's a book about witches, and I get a little confused sometimes about what's going on or why things are going on. I've had questions about it since like the very first book, so some of these questions are still persisting, and I'm having a hard time staying focused and understanding some stuff, but most of the time I'm really enjoying it. The thing that bothers me in this book is the kind of love relationship a bit. I find them a bit like clingy and obsessed with each other a little bit. I'm not sure how to explain it. There's just something that rubs me the wrong way about the relationship, and I don't know what it is. I love both the characters and the love interest, except sometimes them together it just rubs me the wrong way. So in the end, I ranked this book 3 to 5 stars. I want to read the last book. It's not going to be something I rush out and pick up, but it's definitely a fun series, and I've enjoyed it while I've been reading it. The next 2 books I listened to on audio, and they are Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I rated these both 5 stars, and this is my first time, I think, rereading this series, which has been really, really fun. I read the first 3 last year, and now I'm going to try to finish the series before summer. I don't think I've ever really done a reread of the later Harry Potter books, so it's been really, really, really fun to get back into the world, especially into J.K. Rowling's writing. It's been a really long time since I've read these books, and I'm really excited to see how it finishes off. Like, I know how it finishes off, but I forget how it finishes off in the books, and like how certain events that have happened, and it's really, really fun to get into. I've especially really enjoyed rereading The Order of the Phoenix. I used to think that was my least favorite book in the series, but listening to it again, it's really made me appreciate it so much more. I totally understand where all the teen angst is coming from like Harry and Ron and Hermione, and Harry's really awkward relationship with Cho Chang is kind of hilarious, and I can totally see a 15-year-old boy getting himself into that kind of a situation, and Harry has to deal with a lot of stuff in this book, and I just totally get it more, and I totally and the Dumbledore's army aspects are really interesting, and the first time I read it, I didn't pick up on a lot of the stuff that I should have, and after this reread, I'm really loving it a whole lot more than I did originally. Okay, so the next book I read this month was a graphic novel, and it's Miss Marvel Volume 4, Last Days, and I picked this one up from my library as well. I love Miss Marvel, and I really, really, really love this graphic novel. It's the 4th one in the Miss Marvel series, so you have to read all the other ones, and if you haven't read them, I highly suggest you get to them, especially if you enjoy comic books, and even if you're trying to get into comic books, I find Miss Marvel a really good place to start. She's really a really relatable character, and in this one she has to deal with a lot more, and she's still dealing with like major issues that are happening that she has to deal with as a superhero, but she's still dealing with family issues, and I really love this one. I rated it 5 out of 5 stars. The only thing I didn't like about this trade paperback was that there was Spider-Man issues at the back, which I didn't really enjoy, but I didn't include that in my rating because they're not in the Miss Marvel series. So I just kind of ignored those for my star rating, and I'm just rating my star ratings on the issues in the trade that were Miss Marvel. And I absolutely love them, and if you've been a fan of this series, I highly recommend you go out and grab Last Days as soon as possible. The next book I tried to read for the Slay That Series readathon, except I got super sick and super busy that week, so I didn't get as much reading done as I wanted to, but I read one book, and I read The Jewel by Amy Ewing. I have this book on ebook, and it was pretty terrible. I know a lot of people said that they don't enjoy it, and I totally understand where they're coming from. I rated this book 2 out of 5 stars. I found it readable, but I didn't find it that great. Like, I didn't have a problem, like, opening it up and reading it, but when I was reading it, I'm like, there's so many problems with this. Like, with it, there's parts that I found enjoyable. Like, it was definitely a readable book, but it had serious problems. Number one, there was a lot of insta-love between between the main character and the love interest, and the only character development you got about her love interest was that he pretty much loved her, which is kind of annoying because you want him to be his own person and his own. You want to be his own person, not just a reason for a relationship. I found it had a lot of parallels to other books, especially with some of the characters. I forget the character Lucen is essentially Cinna from the Hunger Games. And I know people have said that before, but he is, if he's Cinna from the Hunger Games, that's just the only way to explain him. I didn't understand a lot of what was going on sometimes. I'm like, what's going on? Like, I found it jumped between different situations a lot, and I didn't understand how things were happening or why things were happening, and it just wasn't well written, I think, and it wasn't a great book. It's readable, it's not terrible, it's super guilty pleasure. If you enjoy it, good on you. And I think if you're really new to reading, especially YA reading, you'll enjoy it, but anybody who's ever read anything in YA probably is going to think this is a pretty poor book. I don't really recommend it that much, and I'm definitely probably not continuing in the series. I just don't want to waste my time there. Maybe I'll Wikipedia how it ends, just because I kind of half want to know. It's kind of half interesting to find out, but I'm not going to spend any more time reading the series. The next book I read is another comic book graphic novel, and this one was Star Wars Lando. I also got this one from the library. I had to return it yesterday, so I can't show you guys, but I gave this one 3 stars. I love Star Wars, and Lando's a super interesting character. I honestly don't know that much about him, which might have actually helped in my reading of the graphic novel. But this graphic novel takes place before Star Wars Episode 4, New Hope, and it's kind of just Lando's backstory. I only rated this 3 stars because I found the first 2 issues in the trade were really... I was really kind of confused, and I had a hard time getting into it. But the last 3, I think, issues I found really interesting, and they're really fast-paced, and you got to a little bit know more about Lando in the Star Wars universe, which is super interesting. And it's in the extended universe, so it plays into what's going to be happening in the future, I guess, or what has happened, and that's just something I've really wanted to get into recently. I really want to pick up some more Star Wars graphic novels. I own Star Wars Volume 1 and Darth Vader Volume 1, and I really want to pick those ones up and see what else is going on in my extended universe. So yeah, if you're a fan of Star Wars, I suggest you pick up Star Wars Lando, and yeah, it was a good time. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. And the last thing I want to talk about, I technically haven't finished yet, but I'm probably going to finish it today, and it's the audiobook of Princess in Pink, which is the 5th Princess Diaries book. I rate these 3 to 5 stars. They're fun to listen to. I wouldn't want to read them. I think Princess Mia sometimes gets on my nerves. She really feels like she's 15, which is good, which means it's like, I find she is a 15-year-old girl, and I totally get why she acts the way she does. Sometimes it just bothers me, because 15-year-olds can bother me. But besides that, it's really nostalgic, and I really am enjoying the Princess Diaries. It's funny, it's cute, and they're not perfect, but they're really fun to listen to every once in a while in between stuff, just to have something calm to listen to and not be in... have something calm to listen to. I listen to these when I go to school and I'm walking around and traveling or commuting places, so sometimes you don't want anything too... Sometimes you don't want anything too complicated, so I picked up The Princess Diaries. The reason I've been listening to The Princess Diaries on audiobook, because I want to finish this series, because I want to read The Royal Wedding. I probably don't have to read the whole series to understand The Royal Wedding, but I'm just having fun listening to them again. They're not perfect, and sometimes they annoy me, and sometimes I have some serious eye rolls, but I'm having fun listening to them. In this one, Princess Mia is trying to go to prom with Michael, and yeah, it kind of gets on your nerves a little bit. Princess Mia sometimes reminds me of the main character in the Shopaholic series, just because she gets herself into weird, silly situations, but she's 15. So that's everything I read in March. I'm still currently reading Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. I'm on page 143, and that's chapter 813, so I'll probably finish this soon, and I'll get to talk to you about my March wrap-up. So far, it's pretty good. I'm enjoying it. I'm a little confused sometimes, but not bad. Definitely, it's not my favorite thing yet, but I'll talk about this later when I actually finish it up. I have quite a bit to go, and hopefully I'll get to it. I'll be able to finish it soon before it's due back at the library. I have exams coming up, so hopefully I'll finish this, maybe. Hopefully by the end of the weekend. Hopefully. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, so that's everything I wanted to talk about today. So that's all the books I read in March. Comment down below, tell me what you read in March, or if you've read any of these books and what you thought. I've done reviews on my blog for a few of these, so if you want to check that out, I'll link it down below. And hopefully I'll be able to continue making awesome YouTube videos. I wouldn't call these very awesome, but I have fun doing them. Yeah. So that's everything for me today. Hope you guys have had a great March reading month, and I'll let you know what I read in April. See you guys later. Bye!